Today is the day. We are finally making our very first batch of maple syrup, and we're going to bring you along and show you how it goes. Hey friends, it's Barbara Sue at Kowalski Mountain, and welcome back to the homestead. So we have gathered about 40 plus gallons of maple sap, and we are ready to start boiling it in our evaporator that we built. If you've missed the other two videos, I'm going to put a playlist down in the description box so you can see how we tapped our trees, so you can see how we built the evaporator and gather the sap. And then today is the big finale where we're gonna make the syrup. Now right now we've got the fire going. We're letting that all get nice and hot. And we want a big hot fire because we're gonna bring this sap to a rolling boil. And we're gonna cook it for hours until we can evaporate it down. Now remember, it takes about 40 gallons of maple sap to make just 1 gallon of maple syrup. All right, let's get it going. Once we were ready, we put the pans into the evaporator, and some leather gloves would have come in really handy about now. Now these pans are already starting to heat up, so he wants to go ahead and get that sap in as quick as he can. Maple sap is only about 2% sugar, so we have a lot of water to boil off, which is the goal of the evaporator. We want to cook off as much water as we can and leave the sweet, delicious syrup behind. We don't want to fill these pans too high, only about half full, because we are going to bring them to a rolling boil and we don't want them to boil over.
That's good to know. To get started, it's about 2 buckets. I'll clean this up, and that way we can pour from the non-smoky side. Stick it in there and just keep working it further and further. I don't even have to cut it. Huh? Uh-huh.
Once the sap is in the evaporator, the rest of the day is dedicated to keeping that fire nice and hot. Keeping the wood on this fire is an all-day job, adding wood about every 15 minutes the entire time it's boiling. Now the smaller the sticks, the better, because they burn nice and hot and very hot. This is pure saccharin.
Yeah. Let's not put that in the camera. We should have the regular bottle out here. Hey, yeah. Are you still filming from when you left?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what our goal is to replace. This stuff my wife says is not syrup, you know.
It's not syrup.
Yeah,
It's not syrup at all. But it's what he likes. I don't like that. He does.
Wasn't going to spend the money on the more expensive stuff, of course. I'll use this that I grew up with. Now that I can make it, yeah, we'll use a luncher.
Now the way that we are working the 4-tray system, the 2 trays closest to the chimney are supposed to be our main boiling pans. So those are the 2 pans that we want to keep at a full rolling boil all the time. Now the 3rd tray from the chimney is supposed to be like a middle tray. It's not quite a full rolling boil, but it's a little bit warmer than the warming tray so that we have plenty of sap to keep the boiling trays full. Now the tray closest to me is only a warming tray. The goal is to get the sap warm so that we don't slow down the boil when we add it to the other trays. Now so far it's around 11 o'clock, and I don't know what time we actually started. I have to look at the video.
I thought it was 9.
I'll check the video. But so far we have 20 gallons of sap in these trays. As the pans boil down, we add sap from pan to pan. So the first 2 pans, the rolling boil pans, we try to keep about half full the entire time. As the first pan boils down, we add sap from the second pan into the first pan. And then we refill the second pan from the third pan, and we fill the third pan from the fourth pan, constantly keeping the pans full the entire day. The warming pan can be kept a lot higher than the boiling pans because it never comes to a boil. The sole purpose is just to keep the sap nice and hot so we don't slow down the boil when we move the sap into the boiling pans.
Have it on a slight angle so everything settles to this side. Take
So we're having trouble keeping the fire all the way to the back so that those 2 pans are keeping the rolling boil. The second one in is being pretty steady, but the one closest to the chimney keeps losing its boil a little bit. So we're working out the kinks, we're pushing that fire back, and we're trying to keep it going so that we can get this syrup made today. Now we finally found a good use for all the cant cuts. So Philip has his own sawmill, which I'm sure you've seen in the earlier part of the video. And when you first cut the piece off the log, the rounded piece is called a cant cut. And we use these for things that we can, but they're not good lumber. But they're working great to put underneath the evaporator for the fire because they're nice and long. Now what you might be surprised to know is with a name like Barbara Sue, you probably expect that I was born in the South. But actually, I was born in Vermont, and my family is from New England. So I actually remember making maple syrup just one time when I was a little girl, which I wasn't really doing any making, I was observing. But I remember my family doing it just one time. Now, as I was talking to my dad about us making our maple syrup for the very first time, he told me that my grandfather, Bill Seeger, was the sugar maker for the state school in Vermont. Now, I don't remember him. He died when I was a baby, but I think it's pretty cool that we're continuing the family legacy and making maple syrup here in Kentucky. As the sap boils, it's going to begin to create foam on the top, and we need to skim that foam off. It has impurities, ash, and impurities from the air that might land in the sap. We skim all that off throughout the day. No? The process of making maple syrup is pretty easy. You keep your pot nice and hot, you keep adding sap, and you cook it until it's evaporated to the correct sugar level. But it's a long day. Our longest day of the days that we worked was about 15 hours making syrup. As the sap boils, we continue to add more throughout the day. It's really not that exciting. Basically, you watch it boil all day long. But the excitement comes when you have a jar full of delicious maple syrup. What you doing, Mama? You are as round. You are as round as you are long. You're a good mom at that. Yes, you are. You're a good mom. She's like, I don't know what you guys are back here.
Come here. Come here. Come here, babies. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, you're so fat. You're so fat. What? What? Come here, I scratched your side. Gotta come here. Come here. Come here. Gotta come closer. Yes. Hey, Tubby. Tubby. Tubby, can't see you. What? Yes, you can play with the piggy. That'd be one you could play with.
We're planning to make syrup with our friends tomorrow, so we're going to save some of the sap we gathered to boil with them. So for today, we're only boiling about 30 gallons of sap. We've condensed enough of the sap to go ahead and eliminate the first pan. The goal is to get to 1 pan of syrup. It's 1:30 in the afternoon and we're down to 3 pans of boiling. We're starting to get a syrupy color.
I need to wait.
No.
What?
No.
Flame is right there. Got that open thumb. Better gloves.
Then get something different. That's what you told me to get you, wasn't it?
Yes. But I have freaking welder's gloves in there to use for this.
Hey, that's hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna ruin your fun.
Well, I just replaced it. Why don't you use the brush?
I am using the brush.
Oh, but you're gonna mess up my sponge. Well, your rag wasn't good enough?
It won't scrub.
Ah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I got a nice little cinch. Not bad. Well, if I'm looking at this right, we're still at 90.
90?
Yeah, we still got a ways to go. Because it's
Don't-
hard to see this scale, but where it starts to fade away is like way up there.
But what does the sap start at?
I don't know.
Because we're looking for 66. I don't
Right.
think the bricks go down, do they?
Yeah, they will. Yeah, because when we do honey, ooh, that flame's right there.
Our refractometer doesn't start to measure the sugar content of the syrup until it reaches 58 bricks. And it was really confusing in the viewfinder. Our viewfinder has a blue line that shows the bricks level. And when the bricks was too low, there was a white line at the very top, which made it look like 90. Now we did some research and figured out that the bricks level is certainly going to go up. It's not going to decrease. So we went ahead and measured the bricks of our honey so we could get a good reading that we understood. Since we don't use a refractometer very often, we needed a little refresher course on how to read it by using the honey so that we could calibrate it and see exactly the kind of readings we were looking for. We could better evaluate the sugar content and bricks level of our maple sap. Now we're on our third boil today and we're learning from some of our challenges. So one of the things that was really difficult when we had our first boil over was you didn't really have a way to get this tray out of there quickly. So Philip added these rebar sticks, and these are not welded at all.
They're wired.
You want to? Oh, they're wired.
They're wired, but these are cool to touch here outside. That's why I left them so long, so we can pick it up. They're wired across each end. I can actually weld these later on if this works.
So we just use that to lift this out of there. Two people can lift this out without getting really close to the fire. So, you used that the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, but we just had to be careful not to push more on one side than the other because it would have pulled it away from the pan. That's why I wired it, so it's basically square.
Okay. And then if it works, he's going to weld this so that we can use it year after year.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's a lot thicker. I hope it shows up on the scale. Oh yeah! Woo, we're 64. I mean, just that fast.
We're not there. 66. Put it back on.
Oh my God, babe! I got too much of fire.
It has to be on there.
Well, okay.
Or we have.
We can finish it on there. I'd rather not. I can't get it off of there. Good thing you came back, because I wouldn't have known what to, I mean, I was trying to get this thing off the fire.
You want to scoop it? Don't try to burn me. All right, friends, so around 5 o'clock, our syrup started to really change. I wasn't here, and Philip was working on it. I had just gotten back. I was in the house, and I hear him screaming to come outside. So I go running outside, and I see the syrup boiling over. Now, I knew you needed to put butter in it right away to kill the boil. And so I ran back into the house, grabbed some butter, and we threw some butter in it. And by then, he'd gotten it off the fire. Now, we tested the bricks, and it was at 64 bricks. Now, bricks is a measurement of sugar content. And maple syrup needs a bricks count of 66 to 69 to be considered syrup. So we only need... What did I say it was? 64?
It was 64.
We only need it to be 2 more bricks. Now it tastes really good. It's kind of buttery, which I can't imagine the butter would have contaminated the whole thing, but I probably put a tablespoon or maybe 2 tablespoons when I tossed it in. I just ripped some butter off with my hands and I threw it in the pot. So right now we're getting this to boiling again, and I'm using my pressure canning pot. Now, I think I took some video of this. We also strained it before we put it into this step because we wanted to get out all the ash and all the stuff that's kind of been floating today in the air. And we're gonna watch it like a hawk until it turns into syrup.
It might have already gotten there, is my point.
So,
how runny it is.
So Philip is using a refractometer. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I said it right. Why are you laughing?
Potato. Potato.
What's the matter with what I said?
Lying to me. You're already there.
Yeah, I'd say we're like 67-ish. Well, it looks like we're done then. So this is a refractometer. And we look inside the refractometer, and Philip put a little bit of syrup right here on the glass, and then we can look inside and it takes a measurement of the bricks. Now, bricks is a measurement of sugar, and it needs to be between 66 and 69 to be considered syrup. So we're going to be able to bottle this up. Now, this is something we used for our honey, which is why we already had one. And we actually used the honey to test it. We were not getting a good reading. Philip kept saying it was high. And so we used the honey to get a reading that we knew how to read it correctly. So let's bottle up our syrup and see how much we got.
To better clarify that.
We'll get in there.
Got it on?
Yeah.
To better clarify that, when you look in this, there's 3 different categories in there, and the center one were the bricks. In order to actually get on the scale, you had to be better than 58 to even see it. But if you put your eye up to it really close, you think that at the very top it's white. So I thought, we need to test the honey and see actually where it's at, because the white will come up from the bottom and it will measure that sugar content in it. And that's, when you're there, you're like there that fast. So.
Now I put a jar in the oven because I have heated this up a little bit. I don't want to put hot syrup into a cold jar, so I'm warming up my jar, and then we're going to bottle it up. We need to have waffles for supper tomorrow.
What do we like the maple syrup? I'm all for maple candy.
Oh, I'm gonna make some. Oh, some on the table. Here it is. Here, get in the picture.
Busted.
Are you eating my syrup?
I'm cleaning up the mess.
Get closer.
I'm in the picture.
Well, friends, we did it. We made maple syrup. Are you excited?
I am. It was neat. Long process.
It's really a little bit anticlimactic. You know, watching water boil for hours isn't really much to it. But this
9 to about 4:30.
is super exciting. Well, friends, we really appreciate you watching. I will give you a total at the end of what we did for the season. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that button. We'd love you to be a part of the Kowalski Mountain family. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. This is so good.